Hello and welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name's Peter Howard at PA Howdy on Twitter, which you probably know because that's the only way you find out about this show. Me, Russ Fisher, and Zach Reed. I swear they're here. One of them, at least, maybe. I don't know. I haven't looked. Here to just talk Dynasty fantasy football with you until around about 11:30. We got a cutoff time tonight, so just letting you all know. Drop your comments in the comments section. And welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I had nothing prepared today. I don't know if it shows. Probably shows pretty well. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Hey, Zach, I got nothing today. I was like, normally something comes to me. I turn it on and I'm like, oh, and I got this gag to do. And today I was like, nah.
It's my fault because I heard you mention that we got to be out by 11:30. So everybody in the chat, you can direct your hatred, vitriol, ire, general annoyance toward me because I'm the one who's gotta get up early tomorrow. So I got to be out here by 11:30. But we'll rock and roll till then.
We'll actually just make that a standing order. If you ever have any hatred or vitriol, just feel free.
Right here. I got broad shoulders.
Leave me out of it. I'm just saying. I'm never antagonistic on Twitter. BJ Lee, trade went down in my league today. It was accepted, I'm guessing. C-Mac, Christian McCaffrey for the 108 and the 23 first. I tried to get Cam for the 103, 203, and a 23 second. Which trade would you rather have? This is a 1 QB league.
I would rather have the one with the 23 first in it.
Yeah, 23 first is a big difference.
Yeah. And I don't know that I would pay a 23 first and a 22 first to get McCaffrey. But that's probably the price tag you're paying. But
McCaffrey does what McCaffrey does. You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess. I guess it depends on your team. It always does. It always does. It depends on how you're
just making stuff up. Let's sit here making stuff up every week at 9:30. Pulling opinions out of thin air. Ask us next week. We'll have a different one. Not really. 12 team 2 QB, 1 point PPR. Give Fields on the 102. Get Kyler on the 206.
Yeah,
2 QB. What? Yeah, I'm assuming these are 2022 picks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would take Kyler and whatever I get at 206, whether it could be David Bell, who knows, but it could also be one of those running backs. It could be another quarterback.
It's definitely Kyler, so I probably
take Kyler.
With the Goose passing away, does it change your rankings?
No, Tony Siragusa is only 55 though. But no, a former defensive tackle doesn't change our dynasty rankings.
Kid Coop, what do I do with 106 at this point? I was getting excited about Williams there, but now Burks may fall with recent reports. Can you remember Jamar Chase last year? Drafting late really worked out last year.
Yeah.
Can you talk me into being excited about him, or just nothing that anyone has said since the draft matters a goddamn. So there you go. Can I get you excited about him? I don't know. You should be excited about him. Williams too, but if Burks falls, you should just take Burks. This time last offseason, I was hearing about how Jamar Chase was inconsistent and couldn't catch the ball, and what else was it?
Trading for any first, any future first. People were trading him for a 22 first. How's that working?
Don't. I mean, there has been some. I'll admit, like the Christian Watson talk has made me a little more bearish on him. But that's because I was already pretty bearish.
Yeah, I was going to say that's confirmation bias, and I'd
still rank him in the same place. My ranks haven't changed.
Yeah.
We don't know, but we make pretty good assessments of the risk before now.
Coop,
try not to.
I don't know if this is going to talk you into being excited about him. But if you look at my most rostered players from this 2022 class, it is Treylon Burks, actually tied with David Bell, because David Bell falls into the second, and it's just beautiful. And then Tyquan Thornton, because he's falling into the third or fourth. But Treylon Burks is my most rostered rookie.
He is not mine. Year. I will say, though, I have very few picks this year, and so they're mostly late picks, and I've been having to do a lot of work to try and go up and get David Bell. And Treylon Burks actually cost me way too much in one league to get the pick I needed to get Burks, but I didn't have him anywhere else. I think I've only drafted him once so far.
See, I've got him. I've got him anywhere from 3 to like 7, and he just had I haven't moved very much to go get him, but he just has been there anywhere from 103. I took him when I had the 103, and I've had him fall as far as 107 to me, and have been very happy. I would have taken him at 103 even in the league that I got him 107. So.
Says I've done 3 of 6 rookie drafts so far. One of the leagues is an auction league, so it's not really the same thing. And I took Malik Willis, and that was my only rookie pick. Even though I was, Devi as well. So most Burks was already gone, but I've only got 1 Burks, 1 David Bell. I've got 3 Keontae Ingram every draft so far.
Yep,
apparently.
I feel that.
Pierre Strong, Jalen Talbot, Justin Ross. I always get these later round. That's where all my draft picks come from, apparently. They're always my highest rostered. I've got 1 Breece Hall, 1 David Bell, 1 freaking Treylon Burks.
Well, but I think it also, once you get into those later rounds, you have more conviction about the guys that you want with the ceiling, the potential to be a real fantasy producer or nothing, as opposed to in the first couple rounds, you got a slew of 6 or 7 guys that it doesn't really matter. So you don't necessarily end up with that high rostership. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it feels like, especially with this
I've actually had to work really hard to try and get the top of my rostership to be players that are worth anything, because it's normally I have the same depth players, and so they're an inordinately large amount. Like Jarrett Patterson is my most rostered player right now. It's that's not a strong take. It's just he's free and I like him and he's down there, and so he ends up on all my rosters.
Right.
Also Giovanni Bernard and so on and so forth. Actually, that's just a running back. My highest rostered player right now, it's probably your fault, it's Jacob Harris.
Yeah. But he was free.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can just add him in every league, so I do. And that's anyway. Nicholas J. Hollywood, 23 first and a 24 first, or DK Mooney and a 23 second. Huh. DK Mooney in the 23 second, probably. Yeah.
I think so, but Metcalf's value is finally.
I would then immediately.
Metcalf's value is finally starting to fall, though. I was just looking at the DLF June ADP, which is now out, and Metcalf has fallen in Superflex to wide receiver 11, and he's going. So he started to kind of dip, and I am worried.
In the top 12, I found though.
Yeah, I mean he's 11, which is top 12, but just barely.
Sorry, I'm not looking at Superflex. I was just checking because I was looking at that the other day, and I was like, I thought he was still in the top 12. Yeah.
But he's going, but pick 44, so he's going in the 4th round.
He's so a little bit.
Yeah, quite a bit. So yeah, it's still probably the. Man, you wouldn't have to talk very hard, though, to convince me to get the Hollywood the first, especially if the rest of my roster wasn't very good.
No, I think it's fair, and I love Hollywood, so it would be a difficult trade. But I think Mooney has a lot of upside right now. I think DK's got great trade value at some point, if not right now, in the 23 seconds, sure. Here's a question for you. 2 players, on average, between 1 and 2 players return to a top 12 season after having missed it last year at the wide receiver position. Right now, Dynasty has got A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf in the top 12, and they weren't in the top 12 last year, so those would be the returning players. Right. If removing DK Metcalf, which I would too, by the way, who do you think returns? That's a question I had for myself the other day, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, you could say Allen Robinson, but then you got to ding Cooper Kupp. Maybe you could say Jarvis Landry.
Yeah,
which would be a really hot take. Get that high.
I don't think it's going to be as hot. Like, I think Jarvis Landry has a real chance to lead that team in targets.
There you go. I can
especially with there hasn't been much come out about Michael Thomas yet with the foot and the mentals, and so it's that would be fun. I would really like that because you could get Jarvis Landry for free. If I'm a contending team, and we talked about this last week, I am throwing thirds at Jarvis Landry all over the place, and being very happy when somebody bites.
Yeah, I've taken him in some best ball drafts, to be honest with you. That's mostly made my exposure, but yeah, I don't hate it. As a return player, he's probably got one of the stronger profiles since he has actually found a team. The rest are like, because I was looking at players that have top 12 seasons but weren't there last year. Relatively few that are exciting, but we should expect at least one, maybe two, and we've already got AJ Brown, so if there's going to be a second, it becomes interesting. Sorry, moving on. Silence of the Lamb, thoughts on Baltimore running backs? None. Moving on. No. News that JK might start season on the pup now. Hadn't heard that. Gus still not ready. Is Batty or Mike Davis a startable running back 3? If they're getting majority of the carries, I think Lamar won't need to run more. He's already running plenty. And I think that it'll just distribute. I really do think this team's going to run, though. So if they don't find a committee or one of those players they're comfortable with, they're just going to add someone and do a even bigger committee.
Yeah. And that's sense. That's been kind of their MO. It has been whoever the next guy is, they'll put in and go with it. I mean, probably to start off, it's going to be Davis, which is fine. I mean, yeah, I don't see Beatty being the between the tackles guy, even though he did run for 1,600 yards. Like,
Beatty.
I know you do.
But I get you. I think it'll most likely come down to a nightmare committee scenario.
What's really going to happen is they'll end up signing somebody because there'll be somebody cut and they'll sign somebody and let that happen for the first 6 weeks. But
I'll sign Frank Gore. He retired, but I don't believe it. Hello, Dynasty Grinders. Hello, Calvin Hobby. Bazaltzberg? I'm trying. 12-team Superflex, half-point PPR. Start 9. Current quarterbacks are Tannehill, Barkley. Wait. QB3 is Tannehill. Yeah. He has Barkley, Pollard, top running backs. Yeah. My other wide receivers are
nice.
Jefferson, Higgins, Waddle. Okay, you got the running backs. I see. Yeah, and even Tony on the end for an upside. I'll trade him when he does something. I like it. He's going to send Elijah Moore, Brandon Cooks, and Tannehill to receive Pittman, Gibson, and Baker. Ooh, that Baker's nasty. Gibson's gonna. I mean, Pittman isn't my guy. If you change that into Ayuk, I'd be more interested, but it should be about the same. So in my head, I'm just converting it. Actually, Pittman should be like more than Ayuk. I don't think so.
I think
because it's his QB3, so he thinks of it as spare, and you're getting top 15 running back, top 24 wide receiver.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. It's not.
Tannehill is likely to be gone next year,
or gone somewhere.
Titans. Yeah, gone somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I like getting Pittman. I like getting Gibson. Cooks is undervalued in terms of a trade piece, so I think that he's probably worth more points than he is in this trade.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
I think you're adding Tannehill to Cooks, and like I feel like Tannehill should get you something in a 2 QB in a super flex. Like take Tannehill and go get a thing that's much better than any one of these things. You know what I mean? That's kind of where my instinct is. Instead of giving up Moore and giving up Cooks, instead give Tannehill and get Gibson. In fact, that would be too low. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't need to add the wide receiver depth.
Yeah, it depends on what. I'd go look at teams that don't have quarterback depth and see if you can get that. But then you get the Russ conundrum where Outhouse is always, if I'm sending a quarterback in a 2 QB or a super flex, I want to get a quarterback in return.
Well, that's the thing, though. You're basically giving that for Baker. Yeah. I don't know why you're actually, I don't like this trade. I don't know why you're adding Elijah Moore. You're sending Tannehill, a starting probably top 12, maybe top 12, quarterback for Baker, who might have a job somewhere at some point and has been bad with every job he's had. For fantasy football, I'm not saying he's essentially bad. And a sophomore wide receiver who's really good, and a veteran wide receiver who's really good. For Gibson and Pittman, I don't actually know. I hate this trade. I don't think I'd do that. It's too much. I'd rather send Tannehill for one thing that's much better than any of those three. Like, Henry's really falling in Dynasty, and he shouldn't. Like, can I get Henry for Tannehill straight up, giving up a quarterback without getting him one return? That is more tempting to me than giving up this extra stuff.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know. I'd have to go take a look at the ADP and see where we're at with Tannehill and where we're. I don't think Derrick Henry's fallen that far, has he?
He's at the top 12.
He is. He's at RB 15.
I mean,
It's not that far off.
The value here. It's the value's there, but I hate it. Like, I'd much rather do something like that. And I get that trade might not be available in every league, but that's where my head's at. Like, what will you give me on top of Gibson if I just send you Tannehill? And if not, then the value's not there.
Well, that's according to DLF's ADP. You're right in the same neighborhood. Derrick Henry's going off the board at RB 15 around pick 52, and Tannehill's going quarterback 22 around pick 55. Pittman is going a couple picks after Tannehill. So, like, it feels like a little bit of an overpay throwing Tannehill in there.
And if the Henry, sorry, I'm terrible. If the Henry owner isn't interested, because that's the limitation we never mentioned. Like, the Henry owner's like, nah, he's not my running back 15. Try Fournette, try Aaron Jones. Same thing, but you expect a bigger plus. Like, I'd much rather do something like that. I get a quarterback back, but
right.
It sounds like you're trying to make a win trade, and the trade's fine. I don't like it. It's the sort of money what I'm saying. How long do you think a Dynasty League realistically holds together for 12 in a 12-team league? I'm hoping forever, but realistically, I'm hoping 4 to 5 years, since I'm the first team to go rebuild mode. Last time I saw anyone run numbers on it was 3 years, dude. That's why the 3-year trends and projected struggle is you better make a run that second year and do it in the draft. But it depends who's in your league. Like my leagues, I expect them to be here in 5 years, and they've been going for a few. Just because we replace people pretty easy. It's mostly Zach and it's Outhouse, and they're shits. I don't know them very well, but they're pretty degenerate, you know? They're not going to quit anytime soon. But if it sounds like you don't know, like you would probably have a pretty firm conviction, I would say 5 years at the outset. And again, last time I saw numbers run on it, someone scraping MFL, it was like 3 years. The FFPC, famously, I hear on every promo ever, has never seen a league fold. So there's different contexts.
Yeah, and it depends on, I think for you, Nicholas, it depends on your commissioner, because that's really what keeps the league going. And I know that it's the league mates, and I know it's all of the other people in it, but in order to account for turnover, in order to refill spots, you have to have a good commissioner. You have to have somebody who's willing to go out and find good people to come in and take over a team. Orphans aren't necessarily everybody's bag. And so if you have
a dispersal draft,
if you have a good commissioner, whatever. So like, I'm in leagues where Outhouse commissions, I'm in leagues where Bosch commissions, I'm in leagues where Kyle LeBret commissions, and I know those leagues are going on as far as I want them. My home league has been going since we did our startup draft in 2014. So that league has been going on 8 years. We just had our rookie draft live again, and we set up the date next year. It is June 3rd for our 2023 rookie draft. So like, if you are in a good league, if you're in a league with a good commissioner who has the ability to replace teams when you have turnover, because inevitably you will, things will come up even if it's a great league. You can keep it going, but if it's just like Peter said, if it's just your kind of run of the mill, you got 12 guys off Twitter, or it's a Facebook league where somebody,
I think 3 to 5 years is a good estimate. I will also say, rebuilding, you kind of have to take that approach, but I'm really trying to turn it around in a year, and it's very possible if you approach like fully commit to not this year. But the next one, you should be great. You could realistically do it next year, but you should really not have a 3-year window in mind.
Well, and that's the other thing with like when you do a startup, you should kind of get a feel for that league before you go into it. And the easiest time to win a league
first year
is in that first year. And so kind of set yourself up for that. And if you decide that you can't, then man, set yourself up for a quick rebuild and go.
I would say if you're doing startups this year, though, 2022 is not the year to have that in mind. There's a lot that goes into that statement, but I really think this is going to be kind of an ugly dynasty year. If you build to win this year, you're going to be strongly in a rebuild pretty quick.
It's really funny, Peter, that you said, because that's what I was just going to say. Is like I'm almost tempted to do a startup this year,
because
and trade up into the first round. And then trade back into like the 4th or 5th and try to get like 5 or 6 picks in that 4th, 5th round range, and just go 2 quarterbacks and then just start drafting draft picks. 23 first, boom, 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 and immediately rebuild in that draft class.
I keep finding weird parallels to 2016. Now, on the face of it, I mean, the draft class was the first one you brought up, but on the face of it, 2016 wasn't a terrible year. You had Jay Ajayi and Jordan Howard and Zeke Elliott breaking out rookie year and sophomore year inside the top 12, but all but Elliott fouled out after that. And then we had the 2017 draft class, and that's kind of where I'm finding the parallel to next year as well.
Yep.
But it was kind of, if you were building in that year and you did it was a sucky ass year. Oh, that's bad.
You don't want to rebuild around Dotson and Laquan Treadwell well, if you got Derrick Henry, you were okay. That was that year.
Yeah,
but he was a later round pick. Michael Thomas was,
and it took him a few years to break out. His value was diminishing. Like it was
terrible. Yeah. It was gross.
Hey, Count. BJ's talking to Count. 1 QB PPR start 8 just traded Cam Akers for a 23 first and Rex Burkhead. I keep going back forward on Burkhead Akers. But yeah, I think I've pulled fully out, not to make it too graphic, of Cam Akers. Like I think I'm out. Especially after I found out that a lot of my breakout trends for running back were being affected because I've gotten to rookie years, and now he looks a lot less likely to break out this year. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and he's fine, but like you're kicking the can and getting younger, and like I would much rather have the first. Everybody's talking.
You're answering this question. Yeah. Hollywood in the first all day. Like this is why DK's falling. Like we can't expect that top 12 this year, which means this is going to look great this year if he doesn't, and probably won't. That's why his eyes falling. I think everyone knows he has top 12 upside and his abs, and now we're getting close to the season. Like it's probably not going to be top 12 this year. And then what happens to his value, even if he still has the potential?
You're not sold on the tweet that Seattle is interested in Mayfield now.
Oh, that would be so lit.
Somebody was like, if Mayfield goes to Seattle, what are they? And they were like, a top 25 NFL team. And so that's great in college, but not so good in the NFL.
Not so good. P to the R. What's up, Peter? Not much, P to the R. How about yourself? Sheesh. What's up, boss? I think let's just say yes. 11:30. How dare you, Zach?
Yeah, yeah. They got me working 12-hour shifts right now, so that's how I dare.
I'd rather have the two first. Stop being fair enough. AJ Dillon on 23 first. 23 first.
Yep.
AJ Dillon's value is well below that, by the way, so they're trying to trade. Like, they're just trying to rip you off there. It's not that he can't be worth that in points, but I think it's Aaron Jones until he gets injured. It's just that's outright too much. Nathan, 10-team PPR Superflex with 2 regular spots left. Waddle, the 302, 303, Brait for the 101, the 102, and Gus Edwards. I have Dobbins. That does not matter. In fact, that makes it worse. 10-team, though. Just give me Waddle.
Yeah, I'd rather have Waddle than whoever you get.
Waddle or Hall? That's basically the choice here, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
I'll take Waddle, I think.
Which could end up with Hall and Bell.
You could end up with Hall and Bell. Okay, yeah, all right.
I keep trying to tempt you with that David Bell, the 201. That's right in the neighborhood, Peter.
Yeah, that is his street address, I believe. No Tyler Batty shame. Absolutely not. 10-team half-point PPR 1 QB league, but my league values quarterbacks heavy. Weird. Trade them. And rosters them heavy. I'm tanking. Tanking? And the Watson owner has offered the T. Higgins for Allen. What should I look to move Allen for? That'd be great. I take T. Higgins for Allen. I mean, Allen's one of those quarterbacks, even in a 1 QB league. I get it.
Yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. Is he's one of about the 5 or 6 that are actual difference maker, like get you an advantage as a quarterback. And as much as I like T. Higgins, I don't think T. Higgins does that as a wide receiver.
That's true. He's not going to finish in the top 12 as much as we rank him there. I want more upside. Give me Jefferson. Give me CeeDee Lamb at the very outset because he's got more top 12 upside, similar breakout year to Higgins. So
yeah, and especially if your league is valuing quarterbacks highly, like throw something out there that you wouldn't necessarily get, Zach, in a 1 quarterback league. So go to the DLF Trade Finder and look at Superflex trades for Josh Allen and use that as kind of your baseline, because I think if you start looking at 1 quarterback leagues as your baseline in like a Trade Finder or Trade Analyzer, it's not going to give you a similar range that your league is, because you said this, that your league values quarterbacks heavily. So I think it's funny. I'm going to talk tomorrow with Leo Pasiga on the Dynasty Dummies, and he does a lot of psychology and that sort of thing with regards to fantasy football, and that's really my jam. And I was listening to something today, and it was talking about how if you have one person evaluate a whole bunch of things, then you're going to end up with bias there. But if you have a whole bunch of people evaluate one thing, the average is going to kind of, the bias is going to come out in the wash. And so I think that's the difference between looking at ADP is a whole bunch of people, doing the rankings, and it averages out in the wash, versus your league, which gets down granular, and then you're dealing with this bias. So you know better than we would, Zach, how highly quarterbacks are valued. But it would take more than T. Higgins to me to get Allen.
Fortunately, with the Superflex trades, you're going to get a lot of other quarterbacks coming in return, which you don't necessarily need.
Yeah.
That's mostly what I'm finding. It's like Josh Allen for Derek Carr plus a first next year. So it's 2 first-round picks, 3 really. Josh Allen essentially straight up for Jalen Hurts, a second and 2 seconds, but that's most of the values in Hurts there.
Or even
Marcus
if you do
Brown
something with
quarterback.
like a trade calculator, and put it in as like a super flex just to see. And he has a follow-up to that. He says, I think I can compete next season because I have 5 23 firsts and 6 23 seconds. So I don't really want to trade.
In that case, you don't care about the wide receiver. I would go the other way. Go see if you could get Barkley.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't trade my quarterback if I have 523 first and I've got a difference maker quarterback. Yeah, whatever. Hang on to it.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, you can get in this situation you're describing, you should be able to get a lot for Allen, but you don't necessarily have to unless it really blows you away. Just like, take the points.
See if you can trade a first and a second or a first and 2 seconds to get Higgins. Because then you get Higgins for, hey, Ross. You add Higgins and you're feeling good about it. Oh, he's trade addicts. And he's open bar. And I've got Gray's groupies. Ryan McDowell's son, Grayson.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
All right,
I
fellas,
don't think he's ready yet. We'll just
recap the past. Last week's show and then the past half hour.
We were trying to decide what to trade Josh Allen for in a 1 QB league where players, for some reason, value quarterback.
Everything. If they value quarterback, then you get whatever the hell you want because that's Josh Allen.
Right, but then his next comment was, "I'm not sure if I want to trade my only quarterback." And I at that point, I'm not sure I would. You got 523 firsts and 623 seconds, and I said to Peter, I might send a 23 first and a second or maybe 2 and see if I can get T. Higgins or get somebody else, a young wide receiver that I like.
This is one of the weird times I'm actually going to say, do we know what his team looks like?
We don't have it, but Zach, maybe you can hit us up in the comments and we'll get to it about 11:15.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Giddy Up's first year in Dynasty and wants to know why Dynasty players are so crazy for first-round picks, essentially. It seems only that consistent wide receiver and running back ones, of which there are about 4, by the way, consistent ones, and we value about 20 players in that range. It's worth a first-round pick. Just had my first year in Dynasty, but that seems crazy. Why is 5 years of wide receiver 18 and running back 18 not worth a first-round pick? And I will just say, no running back that is outside the top 12 is worth anywhere near a first. If you don't think they can finish in the top 12, they're not worth a first round pick. Running back 2s, despite what a lot of people teach, are not worth. They're worth a running back 2. They don't start over wide receivers at the flex. They barely compete with tight ends against the flex. So that's not where it's at. But wide receiver, top 24 wide receivers should, in my opinion, be worth a first-round pick.
They usually are.
And they usually are. Like Marcus Brown should be worth a first-round pick, if not
Pittman, Bateman, all those guys down there are worth the first, and they're around the 20. Sutton.
Well, but I also
that's the expectation. Yeah.
To me, the thing that I giddy up maybe, and this because it's early in your dynasty career,
and this is the first rookie.
People get so this is a really good rookie class, so that throws it. So the 23 rookie class is deep, and not deep like people were talking about. This one deep. This one was deep like the dinosaur shit in Jurassic Park. Deep,
you shouldn't trade 23 first like a random first. But I know it's silly. I spend years railing against it, but the Devi community tends to be pretty hot on this, and they are big on 2023. So, but we can just
the other thing that you said, giddy up, is 5 years of a running back or a wide receiver, and we have this idea that players stick around for a long time.
Yeah.
So they probably won't be on your team for 5 years. If a player's on my team for 3 years, that's pretty impressive.
If a player has 3 years in the top 24, I'm pretty impressed. I know, especially if it's your first year, you're not used to thinking about him that way. But like Antonio Brown, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, those are the only players that have really been 5-6 year starters.
Well, and the other thing is, this is the top 10 running backs in scoring in PPR in 2016, which was 5 years ago. David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, he's still around. Le'Veon Bell,
dead zone.
Can't get a first for Zeke though.
LaShawn McCoy, DeMarco Murray, Devonta Freeman, Melvin Gordon, Mark Ingram, LeGarrette Blount, Jordan Howard. How you feeling about your 5 year running backs? And those are the guys who are the top 10 scorers.
I will say the the length of career is exaggerated, the difference between wide receiver and running back, but the value cycle,
but I'm not even talking about
exaggerated at all.
I'm talking about the length
exactly
of all
what
players. Like
yeah.
we have this overconfidence in how long players are going to play and how long they're going to be uber productive, because that's really what we care about. If we're only starting 9 or if we're starting 10, or you're not getting down into the wide receiver 3, 4s very often, and if you are, your team's not very good. And so
actually that kind of dovetails back, because if you're talking about the class, then if you're talking about the 2017 running back class, that's different. If you're talking about the 2014 wide receiver class, that's different. And it does seem to be, we get occasional boom years where you get these players that just are dominant for 10 years, and then they turn into what Odell Beckham is right now. But it does happen. If you remove them, 2 or 3 years of relevance, it's actually really hot in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Like Marcus Brown is but actually good.
And this is why I have been for the past, since Saquon Barkley and that group came in, or even actually because he was 2018, so the 2017 class, I started looking at running backs and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to draft a running back. I'm going to get 2 good years out of them, and then trade them and try to acquire, the young wide receivers that have already been proven, because it's easier to identify running backs because that's volume. Like it just is in rookie drafts. Like it's easier to say, okay, this guy should start, and if he starts, he's going to be productive.
Honestly, I think this could be like a really good series of podcasts. It's a really good question, Giddy Up, but there's a lot of ways to attack this. So specific trades that you're finding are different. Because I find this a lot. I go and approach people with trades, and I'm like, it's crazy that this isn't worth a first and this is worth a first. But it's all very contextually driven. We've got draft trends, and the fact 2023 is different, and the fact Christian McCaffrey is different than Antonio Gibson.
Right.
But I think the general way of thinking about it is a top 24 wide receiver is worth a first. A top 12 running back is worth a first plus to a team that's competing. And then you have occasional players at kind of those top 5 range. Those just
the break things.
Yeah, that just break the league. And they're the ones that start getting up there to worth multiple firsts. 3 first-round pick is the most anyone should cost. And that's just a general pricing guide, which is going to be useless when you approach for a single player. Right. But I do appreciate the sticker shock, because I come across it a lot. What I'd also say is you start paying more attention to the market's value, you'll find a lot of people feel your way. I've been rejected by a bunch of trades lately, but I literally got them from trade calculators. Not that everyone has to accept a trade calculator, but I was tired of my value being too high for other people. So I was like, I'll just take what's reasonable to an average and then see if I can work with it. Because there are some players I'm interested in trading it if they are trading for that value. So yeah, it's a really good question. Outhouse, you are the trade meister. You're the value guy. You run a podcast about trades. Did you have something to cap this instead of this random series of sentences I said and the actual good information?
They were all very on point, even if they came from random directions, because you're absolutely right. Well, Zach is absolutely right in the fact that that's a lot of time. We love to think we know what we're talking about, and we've seen this happen, so this is what should happen. They're going to regress to this. They're going to progress to that. We don't really know, so it's really as much of a risk as a first that could bust. Technically, Cortland Sutton is top 24-ish. I mean, I know June ADP came out. I haven't really looked at it yet, but let's pretend Sutton is top 24, in which case, maybe he's worth a first. He could not do anything ever again. He's only really did well his rookie year, and then injuries and Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah, he has Russell Wilson. I like him. I think he's talented, so I think there's a good chance he will be good, but there's the same amount of chance, honestly. Let's pretend your first is the 101. There's probably more chance Sutton busts than your pick does. I mean, there's a lot. It's not simple. That's the only thing I could say. You need to.
It is something interesting that Dynasty kind of illuminates for you. When you start playing Dynasty, you experience the same player year over year, and you're like, this is different than I thought.
Yeah.
The good players aren't always good. You know what I mean?
The very specific answer is every league is its own market. Maybe you will have a person or two in your league that will value firsts. So maybe you'll be able to get a really good player for just a first, especially in this coming 23 class. But you're not going to get a first for something with an 18, like a 23 first, unless I won the championship last year and I somehow escaped without having one of these guys that just died in value, or like Devontae Adams or Travis Kelce or stuff like that. Like, maybe then you'll be able to get a first for a guy that is just a solid competing player. You know, the one that's going to score points but doesn't really have that much dynasty value left. But if I'm going to win, I'm going to do it anyway. But chances are, especially again with 23 being what it is, you're going to need to give up craziness to get one of those picks. And it might be getting to the point where it's not worth it right now, especially in June.
No, when you're acquiring 23 first, you want to do it now in season for the most part, where people are chasing the points and they'll give you something to go get a championship. I'm with you.
But I also have to say
I could get so deep in the weeds on this one, but I was just thinking,
which is why I'm picking my words very carefully, because this can be an entire show. Sort of unrelated, like this is Giddy Up's first year in Dynasty. I think he's been around for as long as we've been doing this.
Oh yeah.
So rock on, Giddy Up.
I would say there are only 2 players that repeat. If we're lucky, normally there's between 1 and 2 every year that return to a previous top 12 season. So, like players who suffer a year out, get injured, or just have a down year, there's not a whole big place for them to actually return. And so good players being good, it's a narrower path than you might ordinarily think. But yeah. Bobby. Giddy Up. Oh, he's talking about Bobby. 108 and a 23 first or cup. This is really situation.
Absolutely. If your team is one of the Bulls of the Woods, Cooper Kupp is going to score you more points than those 2 picks.
I gotta say, in 2022, I'm tempted with the
picks. I
picks.
give up more than the 23 first for Cooper Kupp.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. He can't do that again. Like, he could very well be the wide receiver 1 again. It's not likely.
He won't do
that
again. Yeah.
If it were to happen, he's not scoring that many points. And then, regardless, you're stuck with a 30-year-old wide receiver that people didn't value that highly in the first place. So, winning is awesome and winning is worth it. But if you're worried about value, which you always should be a little worried about it, that's too much to give up, especially for what he's going to be worth if you find yourself in a place in 5 months where you're not competing as well as you thought you did.
Yeah, that's a trade where Cooper Kupp is going to die on your roster, because you're not going to be able to get, probably after this season,
unless
value.
You're willing to do Kupp in a second for a first and feel really crappy about it.
Right. I mean, it's kind of that, like, 4 years ago where Julio Jones was, where he was a monster, but you knew the end was kind of on the end.
And well, his came too quickly after that injury and then getting traded. And but like, I especially for Kupp, there's not going to be that cliff,
right?
Because he's not tall, fast, and like he's not a. It's not that Julio isn't a good route runner, because I don't want to make it seem like that, but usually those stud X's go off a cliff. Guys like Cooper Kupp turn into Larry Fitzgerald.
Right.
He's probably a top 12 wide receiver this year, and it's going to feel like a disappointment. That's how good last year was for him.
Yes.
I would say the 108 sucks this year, so it's not a big temptation. I would give that for Kupp.
See, here's my thing.
Yeah, this is the year to try and give up on Team Old Guy, and I definitely do not say that every year, like every Dynasty analyst ever. Like, I've never said that. This is the year I'm willing to give up on my old guys a little bit. Like, a year early is better than a year late. Also, I'm just going to vet this tweet through you all. Come ask us questions. Cowards, Dynasty Outhouse is out here saying Cooper Kupp sucks, and none of y'all are here to defend him. Sound good?
That is literally what I said. Yeah,
that is spot on, Peter.
Word for
I
word.
just want to make
numbers-
sure I'm quoting you accurately. Just in
Numbers
case they come
never
in
lie.
and you're like, why is everyone saying this? It was me. It's definitely me.
Yeah, definitely.
Just so you know in advance. We answered that one. Where are we? 12 team PPR Superflex. Tony, it's a really interesting conversation this year. I don't think he works out, and even I think he's a value right now. And a 2024 second or Ayuk.
I think it's Ayuk, but
I think it's Ayuk, yeah.
It's even.
I can't get anyone to value Ayuk, though. It's really difficult.
so Russ, and I know you and I view this different, but the 24 second, that is just a blank space. It is 6 space bars. Boom, 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 boom for me because I don't care about a 24 second right now. And I know that's
I
not
care about it
6.
in that it's a trade chip. That's
I
all it
don't
is.
right now. I don't. And so it's Ayuk for me because if Tony hits, you're hoping he's Ayuk.
Yeah, that's fair. But
And a second 2 years out, like whatever.
but the again, very situationally to the times we're in, people have given up on going after 23 picks, so you're dealing in 24s. Wait,
Yeah.
did I just what happened?
No, I switched it.
Just checking.
It looked too much like a desktop. I was like, this looks crappy. Let's pull up the thing Bob actually made for us instead of me. Because
Oh,
actually
that
looks
guy.
decent.
That guy.
That guy.
That guy's breaking my stuff. He's why I was late, by the way.
Oh
I
yeah.
was feeling
Well,
pretty
him and
bad looking
Bosch.
at my roster ship, and then I just noticed I've got Justin Jefferson in like half my leagues. He's one of my
Good for
highest
you.
rostered players. I'm like, nah, I'm good at this. Let's answer some more questions.
Yeah.
What do you think CH value in a 10-team Superflex league? Almost nothing, and you should trade for him. He's worth a second-round pick. You should trade for him. He's running back 26 right now in DLF ADP and has top 12 upside. And I'm not even joking. And yes, this is the third year I've said buy CEH, and at this point, I'm just a bad man that should not have done that. But like now it's free.
Yeah, I would buy
So is
CEH at running back 26 prices, and I'm not
I
even
would.
really a fan.
For a second-round pick, I think that's what you should try and get him for. I've added him.
Especially in a
Third-year
10
running
team
backs,
league, you
man.
shouldn't be paying a first.
No, we're close to a first.
No.
And I've been wrong twice in a row on this, so just take it as read. But
Third time's the charm.
I think this time I'm more in depth to what breakouts are in tune. Fan football, nice 2023. 12-team Superflex, start 10. Juju, that one.
Juju and
I gotta
2
speed up. I
seconds
gotta
for
be
a
out of here
first.
by 11:30. Yeah, Juju 2 seconds in 2023 or a 23 first. Juju.
I think I want Juju. I think the answer is the 23 first, but I want Juju.
That's close. I
It's
mean,
a super
this one is
flex.
close.
It's a
Like it's
super-
making me pause, and I love the 23 firsts. So this one making me pause, man. That's pretty even to me.
Especially because you're talking in a super flex league where you're going to get very good positional players because there's going to be about 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the first round.
Yeah.
Which why 2 of them is going to be very valuable. Not to mention, I think Juju is great. So
Juju's who I'd peg to be one of those returners this year.
that would make
Juju
me
is
so
who
happy.
I would peg. That was a bad sentence.
I would just smoosh that in Rocky's face forever. He gives
Peter,
us
you're-
so much crap for loving Juju still.
You're not gonna start that whole like good receivers dictate targets and Juju is the most proven receiver on Kansas City's roster, and so
Bulletproof.
Yeah, I hear people finally have had the guts to find that out. It's remarkable it took this long. Sean traded Schultz, DJ Moore on the 23 second for Kelsey and
Oh, I
Diggs.
love that so much.
yes, absolutely.
You should not have been able to do that. That was great.
There's a lot of Schultz talk around right now, and I think he benefited from it. Yeah. Yep. I'm a top contender leaning into the next few years.
Yeah.
You did great, man. Great.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I said sell all guys. I'm not selling those all guys. Scott McCoy, Barkley, and AJ Brown.
So much Barkley and Brown.
Swift, Sutton, and a second.
So much Barkley and Brown.
Yeah, Scott says I took Barkley and Brown. We are on board with that, Scott.
I love me some Sutton, but no, that is.
I do love the Sutton upside, but AJ Brown has more.
You
of
have it in AJ Brown already.
Yeah, and Barkley for all of that. Yeah, definitely. Good job, Randy. 14-team super. Why can't I play in leagues like this? I hate to ask that very common question, but like, damn. I'd never get that trade. Nope. 14-team Superflex. In fact, the one time I got that trade, it was vetoed and reversed. Like, that's that. Anyway.
That was not my league.
No, it wouldn't happen in a Russ Fisher league. But also, you get people who don't do those trades in a Russ Fisher league. Fair. 14-team Superflex. I got the 103. I have a chance to trade down to the 5 and pick up the 205. Is London better than that much better than Wilson Bucks? No. Or would you? The 205 is a risky pick for me, but I definitely think there's a player I like there. It might not be Bell, but there's definitely a player I like there.
In a 14 team?
Yeah.
So that's...
I like that. I like that. Especially with the Burks news. If you haven't had your rookie draft yet, you're getting like extra value. And honestly, I'd be fine with that for Wilson.
That's a tier for me. So yeah. You trade back 3 spots, get what you can get, and take the wide receiver you like anyway.
Sir, 205. Who we think? Bell maybe. I really don't think.
14 team, he's gone.
Maybe, but probably not. You can definitely get Trey McBride, who I don't hate there, and Isaiah Spiller. Those are the names that come to mind in that.
Yeah, you're probably in that range. You're probably in the range where you may be looking at. You probably could look at those quarterbacks. Malik Willis or Kyle or Ritter.
14-team Superflex, they're gone.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. The 14-team Superflex league, they're going to be overvalued. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Well, if it's a 14-team Superflex and you think they're going to be overvalued that highly, then David Bell has a chance to be there.
I mean, we like this trade. We're just debating who we'd take, Randy. Just to be clear, we like this trade.
Yes, trade back, take the 205, and you'll get someone not terrible.
Yeah, we kind of like that one a lot. A lot of good trades today. Burks and a second, or it's like they've been listening to Russ Fisher every Wednesday at 9:30, and now they're all making good trades. Burks and a second, or Devontae or Olave and a first. I really like Devontae right now. Devontae Smith, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take a Olave in the first.
You can have Smith or Olave in the first.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's what, the 108 in a first or the 104 in a second?
Yeah. And it's I'm taking.
And I love Devonta, but his value isn't that high right now, so I would go with Olave.
Well, and it's going to be interesting.
Smith over Olave?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Smith and AJ Brown.
Yeah,
like again on a team that this is the Ravens argument, and the Ravens quasi figured it out, but like a team that favors the run over the pass.
Yeah, but they didn't have a choice but to last year because it wasn't working. That's why you bring in AJ Brown, so you don't have to do that.
Right, but you bring in AJ Brown. What does that do for Devontae? I don't know what. I mean, yes,
we can't see the future.
Theory,
we don't know.
We'll see.
Okay, but the reason I'll say is my thinking is you bring in AJ Brown because
you want to run more with Boston Scott.
Thank you. Thank you. That's well me and Zach. We're always on the same page.
That's really well said. I'm just saying, if you all get to like T. Higgins, I get to like Devontae Smith, and you can all.
I like Devontae Smith.
Take it or leave it.
Smith too.
I like him over Olave, damn it. Burrow in a 2:23 seconds, or Kyler and a 23 first.
Kyler in a first.
Kyler over Burrow and the first over the seconds. The end.
What is the Kyler hate going on? I don't understand where this came from.
I don't know. He's short. Also, Jacob Rickroad said there was a lack of upside, which I still have yet to understand.
Kyler?
I think, but everyone's put Burrow in the new Peyton Manning column. I really think so. It doesn't matter that he was overly touchdown dependent. He's going to be Manning now, and that means you do whatever you got.
Listen to Izzy talk about Joe Burrow on the past DTC show. Oh man.
Oh yeah. I missed
he
that one so
is
far.
the Burrow stan right now, because like we were talking about trades and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, this trade comes down to: do you think Joe Burrow is going to be a difference-making fantasy quarterback? Because we've seen he can do it in the NFL. He can be a difference-making
player.
NFL quarterback.
No one's
But is he going
gonna
to be a
debate that one.
difference-making fantasy quarterback? And oh man, Izzy is on the yes train on that one, to put it lightly.
I've heard a lot of that in the podcast. I've been managing to fit into my day because I figured out people can't hear me in the back of the store. And I think that's where it's coming from. And I don't hate it. I think he's going to be difference making for Cincinnati. I think he's a great quarterback. Is he going to outpace Lamar?
Is he going to outpace Kyler?
Is he going to outpace Kyler? Is he going to outpace Mahomes and Herbert?
Mahomes and Herbert
He could. Honestly, he could, but I don't know I'm willing to pay for it yet.
I mean, Izzy's main argument was, look what he did with a shit of offensive line. And if they get him an offensive line and give him time.
I think that argument can bite you in the ass. Like, if they have a better offensive line, he has to do less of that, surely.
It's a flawed argument. Yes.
I mean, it could go either way, not necessarily a flaw.
I mean, I don't think he's going to magically be bad. Like, he will be a top
no.
10 fantasy quarterback. But Kyler has...
Oh, well, Kyler, and you get a first hit. Yeah, I get it.
And Kyler has the easy chance of being the QB1 if he can stay healthy for a season. And now that he has Hollywood, and when Hopkins comes back, and if McBride, develops quickly, because Ertz did really well also. Like, and let's face it, get Rondale in the freaking game.
Damn right.
The thing with Burrow, though, when you start talking about the upside, is he threw the ball last year 520 times. He completed 70% of those throws. How do you go up from that?
Give him time.
I mean, I guess you think
His
he's going to complete it
for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, and this is not like
maybe Boyd ages out in 2 years, but
no, I'm saying he's right on that. Like,
he's already great.
Maybe 5, 6, yeah. Like he is where he is. Like that's where but he's on the bottom end of those top quarterbacks for me, because I don't think he runs like those other guys.
He needs to be Manning. He needs to be Rodgers.
That's the thing.
That's a lot
I think
to put on
but he already did.
It's just that I think Kyler is too. He's short and he doesn't wear a gold chain near as often. But I mean, he's fine. He's in that range too, and you get a first instead of 2 thirds. Yeah. And like Russ pointed out, he's actually done what we hope Burrow can do in fantasy. Burks, DK, or Godwin for a rebuild team. So one on the 3.
Burks, DK, or Godwin for a rebuilding team. I mean, my order would probably be DK, Burks, Godwin.
Yeah.
I was just debating whether to have DK on top, because he's going to have a down year. You're rebuilding, it doesn't matter as much. Burks could struggle.
Yeah.
I think it's DK, Burks, then Godwin.
I think DK has a much better chance to hold value, because if Burks falls on his face this year, his value goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
and probably busts.
DK, everyone's going to be like, it's Drew Lock's fault. And so his value is going to kind of stick around.
And hey, look, he's doing a TikTok without his shirt on. We'll forgive him. It's fine. I have no idea if he does TikToks.
Automatic two bumps up in the wide receiver rankings anytime DK shows up without a shirt on.
I mean, he is really buff. You've got to admit.
You have to use your toes to count the number of abs he has.
Yeah,
that's just where we're at.
Not human.
Yeah.
Nicholas J. I traded 20. Sorry, I traded 24 first, Albert O and Justin Ross for Hollywood. Good trade.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
It's just a shrug for me. Whatever. I think it's a push.
I mean,
take Hollywood and Ross, but it's fine.
I would trade that.
No, Ross is on the other side. Hollywood is on his own.
Oh.
24 first, Alberto and Ross on one side. Like I said, it's even. It's fine. I don't mind it.
I still probably take Hollywood, but yeah.
Because I'm me. and because I want me some freaking Justin Ross on my team, I would replace him with another third-round pick player and try and see if it'll work. But I would send 24 first and Albert O for Hollywood very easily. But giving me a guy I love in Justin Ross to throw on the other side, I can't do it.
I have managed to get 2 Justin Rosses, and I overpaid for both.
You have to.
I'm pretty proud of that. Can't wait for it not to work out. Fan Football 2023. Devontae's so talented, but his situation will be rough the next couple of years.
I don't think it will be.
I know, man. I'm supremely weird. Like, I liked the way Marcus Brown was playing when he was just a top 36 wide receiver. I get it. But, like, I like the fact he's got A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown helps out everyone on the... I don't know how players consider it, but if the way I'm thinking of it, like, we get A.J. Brown, we're going down the field more often, we're winning more games, there's more times in the red zone, there's less coverage, as if that's, something we can measure. Like, I like having A.J.
They have
Brown.
this weird thing
I like Hurts,
where they feel like they're the best and they need to be the best, so maybe they probably don't like it. But in reality, it's good for the team.
Yeah.
Good for the team.
Goddard should be good too. The passing game's gonna be good with Hurts.
And I think they'll pass more. All of those guys. Be a better game. Yeah.
Team Big Clemson wide receiver. Damn.
See, right. Paul knows.
Paul. Tim Patrick or Josh Palmer. That's actually a more difficult choice for me than it probably is for everyone else. Probably Palmer at this point, but they're the same thing.
Palmer will be worth more because he's younger and there's buzz about him right now, but I think Tim Patrick's still going to be that consistent scorer for you.
I kind of like both, and you can get both for like a third. Like, I give you a third, you give me both those players, and they're like, yeah, sure.
If I'm rostering one of those players, it's going to be Tim Patrick because of the ceiling potential there, and not right now, because obviously you've got Sutton and you've got Jerry Jeudy in that same receiving, but he's talented. He's a field stretcher. He's a guy who can get down the field with a quarterback who can throw the ball deep.
And we also don't have much time overlapping where Sutton and Jeudy have been healthy together.
Yeah.
Mike Williams has been drafted as like the wide receiver 17 in best ball drafts right now. I'd rather have Palmer at that value discount.
Wow.
I'm going to say that. I like Palmer a lot. Unfortunately, I sent out a bunch of trades for him, and it turns out I've got 0. So apparently no one likes his value either. So it's probably, if you want to get Palmer, it probably costs you a little bit more than the nothing value I suggested. Tim Patrick, on the other hand, I've literally sent thirds, and people are like, thank you.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of hates Tim Patrick.
Palmer's too young to be given away that cheap, even though that is what he should be worth.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you're like, well, I might as well see if anything happens.
Yeah. And seriously, he's done pretty well. 400 yards last year, I think. Behind those 2 players, that's not so bad. Randy, would you ship Kyle Pitt? No.
Hold on.
Nope.
It's a 14-team superflex. Get Lamar and Mark Andrews.
Oh. Wow.
I mean, I fear missing good shots more than I fear missing the shots that I take. Kyle Pitt's upside, if he does what he probably should do this year, even on that offense, like, people are trading for him as if he's Gronk rookie year.
Right.
That means you could get more. And like, that's a really good shot to take this year. But I love the trade. Like, I don't mind either side. I think both teams just got better. I like it.
Wow, I hate this trade because it's
because it's difficult.
It's
close.
Really good.
You just have to decide if you want to take that upside shot or just definitely have a great series like Lamar and Mark.
I think if you look
you're fine if you get that trade.
If you look at what Randy said his team is, if you pair Lamar Jackson and Hurts as your quarterbacks,
you got a great
man, and then you add in
That's a good point.
Like that. Like,
I don't think you're
again, Randy. It depends on what the rest of your team looks like. If the rest of your team looks like you are competitive, then yes. If the rest of your team looks like Gio Bernard and Tim Patrick, then keep Pitts in the
Then yes, 'cause
23
you're competing.
first. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw out Peter's
No,
like highly rostered players, but
Oh, I'm not rostering any of these guys. I don't get good players. I get Tim Patrick.
well, that's what I said. Tim Patrick and Gio.
Love them. Yeah, I think this trade's remarkably even. You just got asked a question about that team. And to be fair, the risk is on the Pitts side because Pitts can have an Ingram. It can happen. That's a terrible offense for Pitts, in my opinion. So the risk is probably more on the Pitts side.
Oh, it 100% is on the Pitts.
Getting Pitts. But you do get it balanced out with having those 223 first. So I like it. And it's about your situation and how you want to play. Weaves, evening all. For a win now move, what do you think? Sending a mid-late 23 first for Chubb in a 10-man start 9 half-point PPR?
No.
I mean, I know somebody who did that in my home league because I sent Chubb and got the 23 first.
In a start 9?
I tell you what's weird about Chubb. Dynasty players, well, I'm not about Chubb, but something weird about Dynasty is we love Nick Chubb.
He's so good, and he could be so much more if they would let him be, and they're not going to.
I mean, why would you? You got Kareem Hunt there.
Like the only player. Remember, I've been tracking returns and repeats and breakouts recently, and something weird about like redraft ADP to dynasty ADP. It's dynasty players saying Nick Chubb's going to come back to the top 12. I don't care. He's older. I don't care. It's going to happen. Like it's dynasty players that just want to live and die Nick Chubb, whereas the redraft players are like,
I mean, wasn't he 11 last year?
Like,
and I know it was a down year, but what? Like,
no, I think he was Nick Chubb's 14 last year.
Was he?
I mean, points per game.
Are you points per gaming?
If Hunt misses time
overall,
yeah. I mean, Chubb's pretty great, but you need a lot of stuff to happen for Chubb to be great, which sucks again because he is great.
I don't think he did a lot of stuff. I just think it's interesting that dynasty
especially
players
start
are the ones...
9, like 10 teams start 9. I think you could do better.
I love Nick Chubb though.
Yeah, I do.
I am a dynasty player that fits. But yeah, it's probably the 10 team though. I mean. Yeah, probably the first. Also, what's the vibes on the rest of Chubb Hunt's careers? I mean, Hunt undervalued, Chubb a little overvalued in Dynasty currently. I think they both have two years left on being relevant to fantasy.
Yeah, neither of them are going to be much after this contract anyway. So
value, not so much. Like Outhouse is telling.
Like Chubb is going to be a great 1B in 2 years. And that's when he's going to have dynasty value.
He'll end up over on the Raiders, and they'll just like use him.
Frank Gore did just retire. We need a new Frank Gore.
It could very well be Nick Chubb,
and we already love him. We love Frank Gore for so many years. I'm just
now saying. If Chubb can just stop getting injured, so he can turn into the immortal, then
wasn't that the knock on Frank Gore early in his career?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because Frank Gore was injured prone at the beginning of his career.
Heard it here first. Just saying. Scott McCoy. I have a 5 and 23 and a 4 and 24. Oh, that's a year.
523 first,
424.
424 first.
It just did not register someone could have that many first round picks. I apologize. First, Zach Lamar, Higgins, AJ Brown, Mark Andrews, Barkley. Should I trade pick? Nah. Just keep them.
Sit back.
I mean, I would trade your 24. Trade a couple of 24 first and add something. Like why not?
Trade them for the sake of trading them. You don't have to. Your trust is already pretty strong.
Brown,
but
go get a running back or two.
Push to win.
One quarterback. Don't do anything now unless a good trade comes your way because you don't have to. Your team's really freaking good. But once the season starts, you go buy some points with those 24s and win. And then once the season's over, I'd sell like 2 of the 23s and then draft the rest of them.
I'd be tempted to fish Higgins for that top 7 wide receiver value. I don't think he'd get it. I think that's more ranking than value-wise, and that's why everyone wants you at 7 or whatever. And I would be tempted to hunt for some cheap top 12 upside right now. I honestly think Donald Mooney, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Mike Evans.
Fournette-
Mike
A running
Evans.
back, definitely go cheap. Yeah,
Mike
Evans
Evans
is a good
the
one.
guy this year that.
But don't give up first for these guys. That's what I'm saying.
No.
Go hunt cheap top 12. Right now,
Yep.
that's what I would be looking for with this roster.
Go
Because the
send
roster
the
is already
24
competitive.
first for Evans and a second,
And
24 seconds,
Already.
and be
Fournette,
thrilled.
Fournette too with
Yep.
and I know everyone's talking about Gronk being out and blah 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 blah, and they're like, to me, if you look at the red zone usage from last year with the Bucks, it's not Gronk being out or being gone, it's Godwin being gone that opens up a big chunk for Fournette and Evans.
Interesting.
We did this the first few weeks of the offseason. We were telling people that Fournette's in the top 12 in redraft and not in Dynasty. By the time the season gets here, he'll be valued there. Our Fournette charts are cemented, I think.
Yeah.
And what was that list I read off earlier? The top 12 running backs that aren't in Dynasty but are in redraft. It's Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Whew. And that could not even be just a cheap, like running back 15, you said. That's crazy. I'd take him over Joe Mixon, and Dynasty players aren't doing that right now.
Hey, Russ.
Joe Burrow's Peyton Manning.
Sutton is going at wide receiver 32 in Superflex on DLF's June ADP. Yeah, so that's a guy I'm buying into just on the off chance that
If that value is real, yeah,
that's like Cup last year. He was in the 30s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's one every year. It might be something this year. Zach, Allen, Etienne, Pollard, Judy, Gabe Davis, sell him. Rondell Moore, keep him. Mark Andrews, Pat Freiermuth. I can't get Pat on my team for any trade numbers I send. Olave, Christian Watson, DJ Chark. I was planning on tanking this season and then going heavy next season. Definitely don't plan to be more than a year out. With your roster, I think you got some more trading to do to be in either situation. Right now, you're looking mid. You want to be bottom or top.
Yeah, you have a wonderful middling team because Allen and Andrews are just scoring too many points.
Yeah, and I would trade Andrews right now. I trade Judy right. I know he seems like not the Denver wide receiver to trade right now, but you could probably find someone who sees that upside in him. I would do that. Gabe Davis, again, depends who's on your league, but I'd trade that too. Rondell Moore, no value. How about ETN? Is it time to trade ETN yet?
No.
The value's risen, but not enough. Right.
No.
Josh Allen is probably going to make you a mid-team by himself. I'm just saying. He didn't say whether this was a super flex or not.
Doesn't matter. He's still, well, I guess what you can get for Allen if you were going to try and trade him, that's fair. But yeah, if you only have your set of picks, you are banking too much on Olave and Watson becoming good right away.
No, he's saying he's trying to build here. He's trying to play for the year after.
Yeah, but
so I think he's got too many good players.
And then going heavy. I mean, I think he just, with all his picks, which means he has one first.
Yeah, I would do some more trading. There's too many points on this roster. Like, go bottom.
I mean, if you want to be a year out, you kind of can't. Honestly, trade Muth because there's probably some middling team who thinks he's there.
Would. Yeah, I would give you a first for Muth right now. There's someone like stupid as me. I'm sure.
I don't think it's stupid. I just think it's the kind of move that will work for both of you, but I think you have a better chance of getting more with that first than the production you'll get from Muth in the long term.
That was really polite outhouse speak for that stupid.
No, it's not, because Muth will give you that tight end
7-6. Yeah.
Dude, I'm not going to get anything right if anyone
12,
thinks I'm
in which
smart,
case,
so it's
okay.
I really think Andrews is. What did I notice the other day? He's ranked above Pitts in Underdog, I think.
He's wild.
And he's above Kelsey in Dynasty because age. Like, Andrews seems like a good trade if you're trying to get down to the bottom and get as much value for the future as possible. But yeah, that we're both saying the same thing, but get the best trades you can to do it. Yeah. Hey Russ, this one's for Russ. In one league, I completed 12 trades this offseason and offered 141. Yep, different trades. Is that close to what you? Not even.
I mean, this week.
I can't answer. I literally don't know. I would be I would look up the numbers, and then my wife would somehow like hear me say how much stuff I've done in fantasy football, and she would believe me. She's in the other room. She probably heard me say that, and she's packing up right now.
Joe, how many seasons has CeeDee Lamb finished in the top 12 points per game? I don't know. I'm assuming none, since he has barely finished in the top 24.
Here, I'll put up 2 of them just to make it feel better.
Do I have CeeDee Lamb's numbers pulled up? Of course I don't. That would make things too easy. Oh, wait.
You don't need to look. The answer's 0.
Oh, I'm going to check. I like checking.
Oh,
points per game, 0. Top 20 once, top 36 once. Devontae in a 23 first or Lamb?
Devonta Smith?
Kind of
taking Smith in the first, I think.
I'll take Smith in the
take
first
it, Lamb.
because would you be super
Peter's going all
surprised
in
if
on
he
it.
finished as like wide receiver 22 and 23 next year? I mean,
No.
I want Lamb to be really good because I think he's a really good player, but
CeeDee Lamb is the next DJ Moore, which makes me sad.
that makes me really
Maybe.
sad. Oh, why? Ow. Like,
And I don't believe that, but that's what the community is telling us. Which is funny that it's coming from analytics.
and it's
Like
funny because
the
like,
analytics community, because the analytics community was like was so hard in on
DJ
Moore, and like, man, I really love Lamb, but
yeah, Moore was supposed to be like generational after the catch and everything, and I mean
he's okay. Like, he was fine. I watched him. He was okay.
but I mean
I had
we're also
Sutton
talking
over
about a
him.
guy who, man, like even in their rookie drafts where they both were in very strong classes, Lamb was wide receiver 1 around like the 105 area. DJ Moore you could have gotten in the second sometimes. Like, he was at the end of the first, beginning of the second, because he was
I don't
there
know.
with Ridley
I
and
don't
Sutton.
remember it that way.
No, yeah,
But
not
maybe.
in the drafts that I was in, because it was that, like, the analytics side of things was hard on DJ Moore.
There's a good chance I'm remembering it incorrectly. Just I remember being faced with that choice every single time, and I'm like, look, I kind of want some shares of Moore, but I'm not taking Ridley.
I remember, wasn't it DJ Moore and Calvin Ridley?
And Cortland
When they
Sutton, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember having a tent arguing DJ Moore. Like, we were pretty hard for DJ Moore. I'm pretty sure. And Cameron
Yeah,
Ridley
he was
did better.
106 wide receiver 1 in May of that year.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I will admit I was probably wrong, I guess.
I will say this is closer to me than most. I really like Devontae. Like, I was just arguing.
I think it's
so put
insanely
any other
even,
wide
which is
receiver
sad
here.
for Lamb.
It's easy. Lamb. This is Lamb's a good shot this year, and I don't like not taking those. Joe, as many as Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool, man. Discount Brandon Ayuk. Jesse, what would you take for you to move your CD Lamb? 3 first-round picks. There you. I'd move anyone for that, and that's Terry's in for me. I regret that he's in rankings.
Is there a world
like I thought
pay more than
no one would?
Would you pay 2 firsts for CD Lamb?
222 firsts? Absolutely.
One in
We're
each
after
year? Yeah. Yeah, I regret strongly that people have put him in the top 12 in both rankings and projections and everything else, but like the reasons for it are really solid.
Yeah.
And you can get scared that there's risk, or you can the things that would put me in on that are present. It's not like people just liking his age or liking the vacated targets. He's done great. He's actually performed above average for most players that break into the top 12 in their third year. Across any measure I can find. It's fine. I'll miss. I don't care. So Claypool equals Lamb. Not even close.
I think they're just joking with each other.
Yeah, I know. Why does Russ hate Calvin Ridley?
As I was just gushing over him 2 minutes ago, even though Kane sent us probably 25 minutes ago.
Calvin Ridley is literally one of those players that changed part of my process. He was so good.
Because he broke my heart. That's why I hate him.
goddamn gambling addictions, you know. Shouldn't make that joke. Okay, they're still doing that. What are you thinking about Tyler Batty? We actually talked about this earlier. I like Batty a lot. Zach says he's not so much a tackle grinder, right? That's a phrase.
Right.
That's
I mean, he's 5'8", 194. So like he's not a even though he had 1,600 yards, he's not necessarily your traditional between the tackles guy.
He's not Dobbins.
No, he's got good hands, good pass catcher. He does run through arm tackles. Like he's not bad. I don't mind rostering him, especially with the injuries. If he's on the field getting carries, he's going to be pretty good because
anyone in the Baltimore backfield will.
Yeah,
be.
I think that's going to be more of a committee. I can go with that. I'm not going to argue with Zach that Tyler Batty's generational. No, he's fine. I think he's probably a little underrated, probably a little overrated by some people. I think he's good.
He kind of reminds me of Singletary in Buffalo, where like he's a better ball carrier than you expect him to be for his size, but still not a traditional like 250 carry guy.
Right.
Oh, like yeah. Look, if you get him on your roster, absolutely. Like, I'm not unhappy that I have Tyler Batty, but I'm not expecting him to go roll off 1,200 yards for the Ravens this year either.
Hater. No. David Bella 2023 second. So essentially you get that future his same value.
No.
It's one of those situations where I'm like the player has a chance to increase his value more drastically, but the 23 second is safer. But I'm taking the Bell shot. It's like the CD Lamb thing. I get the risk, I really do, but I'm taking the shot. So you got to take some shots. There's no such thing as risk free. Ahab says he hates David Bell. Moving on. Olave for a 23 first and
worse than Ridley.
Worse, even more. Hate so much. How much and which side needs to add more? First is coming from middling team. He has JT, Jacobs, Walker, Ayuk. It's a pretty good team. Dawson, Landry, hey, Parker. I think I want to add Landry. Zach's got in the back of my head on Landry, and now I feel weird. It's a start 11 PPR, 1 QB.
Start 11.
So the side that needs to add is the Olave side.
Yeah. Olave for a 23 first works.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the first, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think that works.
Olave side owes
so
something.
you need to add a Kadarius Toney to the Olave side, basically.
Sure. 12-team Superflex, start 10 PPR. Pickett, Trubisky, and a 23 second, or Claypool and a 24 first. Yeah. I guess I'll just take first. Yeah.
I don't even know.
I'd probably take the quarterbacks in a Superflex.
I kind of want to just hit reject regardless of which side I am because none of it makes me happy.
You. I'm sorry I said this.
Yeah, like that's...
I take
okay.
first. Claypool
My
has some upside.
I would hold on to, like, I wouldn't do...
You're going to have a starting quarterback.
I would take...
Are you, though?
They both play on the same team, Peter. You're going to have a starting quarterback.
I've seen weirder things. I've seen Mitch Trubisky play, for example. I mean, I don't know why I did that. It's funny.
I'd take the quarterback in a second over Claypool in a 24.
Yeah, I'm convincing myself to take Pickett just because I think it would have to be something crazy to happen where Pickett isn't worth a 24 first after the season anyway.
All right. Lance, Schultz, and Brees, or Zach Wilson, Najee, and London. Why'd you gotta put Najee on this side?
Lance.
Yeah, it's a Lance side. I really like Najee Harris. I like that people don't like him because he's inefficient. And
is Kane trying to work a deal with Outhouse, like live on the air, but like covertly? Because I see the 1.75 premium.
Tight end premium, yeah.
Check my team. Because I think I have.
But I think it is the Lance Schultz and Brees side.
Yeah. Brees is kind of, yeah. It's the Brees side. I'm gonna call it the Breeze side, not the Lance side, just to be different.
Just to make you feel
That's the
better.
player I want there. But yeah.
Nope, not me. Not me.
Recovering Ridley Truther. Yo, guys, on a 12-team Superflex 1-point PPR, 2 tight end premium contender. Who would you target to acquire for your own 23 first? It's kind of just holding them right now, but bet on yourself. That's a fair point.
See, I love the idea, like, send the 23 first for Derrick Henry in the second. Like, get those old guys who there's no reason they won't score the same points, and then you get a little bit of a pick on top, so you're not completely throwing away dynasty value.
I don't have a priority list without positional preference. Like, am I looking at wide receivers? Am I looking at running backs? Derrick Henry is a strong contender for top of the list.
Evans in a second.
Evans, yeah.
Would you send your Would you send your first for Hollywood if you're competing?
Nope. I don't think he has that top 12 upside. I mean, he has that upside. I don't think he gets it. I think it distributes more than that.
How far?
Like Keenan keeps sticking in my head, but you like a 23 first for Keenan and a 24 first. Like, I mean, that's
a weird trade. Yeah, that's a weird trade to make.
Like, that's what it would take for me to send a 23 first to get Keenan. Like,
yeah, I think we need more information. Like, we can tell you who we like to trade for points players. Derrick Henry's one, Leonard Fournette's one, Aaron Jones is one, Diggs is a great one.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen, Mike Evans. I think
Travis Kelce.
Undervalued Darnell Mooney, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yes,
but
especially with the premium.
All about,
with the tight end premium, Kelce would be a good one.
If Kelsey's on a not great team, they'll probably take a first for Kelce right now.
I think Muth. And also, there's so many targets, but there's no straight up trade for that single first that jumps off the page, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Hunter Henry's a great ad this year. If you're trying to win, Hunter Henry's a great ad. But he's not a first, although I did literally see someone trade a first. He likes to go all in on himself, and he did.
Dallas Goedert's not the worst.
Yeah.
Because again, we'll lean into that premium because that's pretty decent. I think AJ Brown isn't going to hurt Goddard.
It's hard to prioritize a list without what position you're looking for because it's all about what your league mates are.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it matters what you're not looking for anything right now. So
yeah, but I mean to answer the question, like who would you put top of the list? I don't really have a good name. I have a bunch of names.
No, and I think we did a good.
Okay.
Shotgun approach on that and just gave him a couple at each position. We did a great job, Peter. Good job.
Oh, I don't believe it. Joe, considering how running backs
Zach does to me all the time, so I get to pass it on to Peter every once in a while. Zach says nice things and it makes me feel awkward.
Does. Specifically, they get injured more often, slightly more often. Why do we value running backs that finish in the top 12 in total points?
Because you never know who's going to get injured. That's why.
Don't we?
Well, but I think, Joe, I think that there's kind of like a threefold answer for me is people are coming off of valuing for 3 years straight running backs heavily, being hurt by that because McCaffrey got hurt, Barkley got hurt, Gurley disintegrated, like all of these things. So people are shying away. We take negative things much more to heart than we do positive things. So that's your first part of that question. The second part, if you go down, Peter, to the next comment that Joe has, where she's saying, like, if Swift is giving you zeros half the time and Gibson is playing the whole year but only 14 points a game, doesn't that matter because Gibson has that upside? I think that what you're missing is if they score the same like points with the games that Swift is giving you zero, you're not playing somebody.
Someone else.
You know he's injured. You know he's out. So you have the ability to fill that that spot in your starting lineup. And so like it's not just the running back, but it's like the running back, but knowing that he's out and being able to put somebody else in, you've got to kind of factor in that for points too.
But I mean, let's talk about Gronk, because Gronk, for not the Tampa Bay Gronk, Patriots Gronk, you knew you were getting a top 2 scoring tight end
when he played.
Was, if you're lucky, going to play 12 to 14 games. But it didn't matter how many games he played, he was still scoring as a top 2 tight end.
Right.
And he was always valued as that. But again, when he wasn't playing, you got to put in a different tight end. So not only did you still get those top 2 tight end points, you bolstered it a little by starting
whoever.
Yeah.
Cameron Brate with 8 touchdowns in a year. So
I mean, that's I agree with what you're saying in the point that I would love to pay way less for, in this specific example, Gibson.
Right.
It's kind of like why I've sort of turned a leaf on how I felt about Josh Jacobs, because he is Jason Witten and Frank Gore, where he played more games than almost everyone else in the top 10. So he stayed in the top 10 because he did well enough. And that absolutely has its place, but that's not going to win you anything. That's going to keep you from losing. And again, you play high stakes, so maybe that has to weigh in more. But in your average dynasty league, you want the ceiling. That's what you go for. I know Zach feels that way. It's really, you don't balance your roster because balance isn't helpful. You fill it with guys that can score 40 points a game, because when they do, you won.
Right.
Easy. And I'm a little on the side of I like balancing a little bit, especially if I have to start more than one running back. If I have to start 2 running backs, one of them is going to be someone like Josh Jacobs. One of them is going to be Mr. Solid. The other one will be someone that has those waves. And that is absolutely me being afraid of risk, 1,000%. But that's really what it is.
You can't avoid risk. You just have to manage it.
Mitigate it
That's
as
kind of
best
what
as you
I'm
can.
saying.
Yes.
The CD Lamb and you got to take some shots.
Yeah. But
Well,
I mean,
feels
that's
like a side
real
straw
difference of
manning.
value. I mean, I don't want to say the same things we just said over and over again, but yes, pretend I just summed up everything we said succinctly, and that's the end.
Yeah, it also feels
well
like
said, Russ. Well said.
Thank you.
A slight straw manning of the other side, which is not something you're intentionally doing, but like, who is not valuing Gibson as Swift? Like, Swift is valued very highly in Dynasty, but we're talking about non-high stakes leagues on DLF's ADP, where people are just aiming for his age. In best ball, maybe I see the difference, but like I've consistently said, trade Swift. Like Swift's opportunity share is enough. So, and Gibson is slightly underrated, but he's not a top 12 running back, and a Swift is ranked there, which is why I would sell him, because I do consider them having slightly similar.
It's one of those things where you take advantage of that and you trade Swift for Gibson.
Trade Swift, Gibson plus, yeah. But good question. And no one whether to be patient with the 23 first or just go for it, find value now. I don't know how to go about, like, I know high stakes player Joe might have processes for like that trade I saw, a first for Hunter Henry. There's a guy who's got a process, he follows it, he knows how to target who he wants when he wants to go for it every year. I don't really have a good way to prioritize that list. I'm just a dynasty player looking to manage risk more than anything else and win slightly more often than every year. I
love that Peter has the ultimate cop-out answer. Depends on the trade you get. If you get something that seems crazy now, just take it, but wait, because chances are you have a better chance of getting something crazy when it increases in value, especially if you're at a point where you're 3 and 4 in next year because you had some bad luck. You played against teams when they spiked.
Look at your all-play record. Yeah.
Your team looks like it's not going to be as good, so maybe you get better value because the rest of your league might not be clever enough to realize what's going on. But if you get something ridiculous now, it's silly not to take it. is kind of what I'm saying. So if you
Yeah,
get a
so
good
you're
offer
just kind
now,
of always looking for a good trade. But
yeah,
if you don't get one, it's fine to keep
like
it.
that's one of those things where either I don't send out an offer including my 23 first, or I send out stuff that will get me laughed at just to see if people say yes.
No, the DLF league that win, I've got one first, and I got some diminishing assets offered at a fair value, and I was like, I'm just going to keep it for assets that are probably going to be worth less next year. But I've also sent out trades. I'm like, I don't want it. I want to win this year. So I've been sending out trades with that first, trying to get players that I think aren't necessarily going to diminish, but are around about that value and could have points upside. And no one's been interested at all, so it's just still on my roster, and I'll be happy with that when the draft comes around.
I forget what my team looks like in that league.
That's the one where you were dominant. I think you lost in the final. You've been trying to trade.
Yeah, I lost in the semis because my team just stopped playing towards the end of the season.
Poor coaching.
I went like crazy running back heavy, and they just stopped running backs. Backing.
Ridley Truther says he wants all his wide receivers to look like the Hulk.
So trade for DK.
Claypool, DK.
Yeah. And hell, you just get Christian McCaffrey because he looks like it too.
Yeah. Russ, this is going to be fire, as the kids say. Dynasty trade calculator. DTC in the house.
I love that we have no idea who was at. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was Bob.
It's got to be Bob.
It's got to be Bob.
So many people have access to that.
I like the fact he switched over accounts just to make it look like we have an extra viewer. I appreciate that. Russ went late second in last 2 rookie drafts. That's too high. But
we're pumping it up, baby.
Separate startup draft. Undrafted free agents doesn't matter in June. They always matter. But yeah, that's too high.
I think the fact that he was one doesn't matter, which is good for your stance.
I don't think you get Andrews for straight up first in most leagues.
No, that was easy. Andrews was the Lamar and
Andrews
for Pitts and 2 firsts.
Pitts and 2 firsts. And I was on that same side, Joe, with the Andrews and Lamar. But
Ridley Truther, speaking of Broncos tight ends, why though? Why would we? Thoughts on Duluth? I think I'd rather roster him at his value than Albert O. I'm not really expecting either to do much this year.
Oh, I remember why I rejected the trade, because you just took that first from me. Sorry, I went to look at my team.
Okay,
that was the AJ Brown trade. You sent me AJ Brown for something in a first, and then you tried to send me the first back. I'm like, but I already just went in on AJ Brown and trying to win, and now you're trying to what? No,
new trade.
Okay,
I'm just always sending out something. I just kind of go through the league and send an offer to everyone. So if you were turning down a trade, so is everyone else, pretty much. Really, Truther, speaking of Broncos tight ends, Dulcich, how do you say his name? I actually think he's a pretty decent prospect. And yeah, value adjusted rather the roster in the Albert O right now. But having said that, I've also got Albert in one league and no one wants him. So that might be a bit exaggerated on the alternate.
All right, I sent you an offer you should accept.
I will not. I'm very bad at trades. Pitts has only 1 year in the books. Can we see 2 years? If you need to see 2 years behind is the thing.
You don't for Pitts.
You don't for anyone. If you need more than 2 years, you're probably going to be. I mean, it's fine to pay the tax or whatever Outhouse calls it, but you'll be paying the tax. Yeah.
But this is
he's trying to get ahead of it. No, you don't.
It is the specific situation, time-wise, that we're in that crowns Pitts who he is. And honestly, if Mark Andrews did what he did this year, last year, we wouldn't. But sorry, I'm in a very high building right now, and there's noise coming from outside the window, and it's scaring the crap out of me.
Okay.
Someone is sawing something, and if I die, someone call 911.
We'll tell your story. It's fine.
Thank you. That's all that matters. Pitts being the age it is, the rest of the ages of the tight ends, the fact that everyone else is declining, and there really isn't anyone in the league now, talent-wise, what Pitts was, and also in a situation to be the number one pass catcher that Pitts still is. Sorry, Drake London people, it's still Pitts. And there's no prospect coming in that will be the talent or the prospect that Pitts was in the next 2 years at least. Like at this point, if you talk to people like, well, we hope this guy from next year might be a thing. Like Pitts was the tight end one for some people when they were looking at him.
I put it this is the way I said it on Twitter about Muth when someone asked me. It's like, yeah, he could bust. And you'll wait 5 years for a prospect as likely to hit the next year. But it'll be 5 years before you see someone this likely to potentially have that upside. Like it's a 5-year kind of shooting star scenario. It could miss. You could not get your wish, but you kind of I like betting on the shooting star because they're actually rarer than you think. And we have
I'm gonna give an even simpler answer that has nothing to do with even how good Pitts is or not. It doesn't matter because he is valued that way. And so, this was again why when he came out last year, we did an episode on the Dynasty Dummies saying, yes, you should draft Kyle Pitts in your rookie draft in the first round. As much as I hate drafting first round rookie tight ends, and look. Eric Ebron had a very similar profile to Kyle Pitts coming out. He did. Mm-hmm. Like if you were around back then, you like this. It was the same thing. Eric Ebron was going like.
I mean, he wasn't drafted
second or third in draft.
7th, right? Overall,
it's not exactly the same, but I'll give it. It's no close.
I mean, there is no exactly.
Because the thing is, what athletic was what year was that? Like 12.
It wasn't that far, but yeah.
What athleticism was then is nothing compared to what athleticism is now. Like, the human body has changed in the past 10 years.
Maybe. I would still judge it by the same threshold, so to be fair, for the NFL.
But still, yes. Ebron was coming in as an insanely athletic, can't-miss tight end.
I don't think...
It was the Lions, and they missed.
Yeah, and missed year one, I remember. I don't remember having quite the year Pitts did.
No, he didn't have the year Pitts did, but he was the can't miss prospect.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what I mean by now. You've got a year, like literally another touchdown. He's already broken into the top 5.
Yeah,
right. Like, he had one touchdown per 1,000 yards.
Break the yards record for tight end or the receptions.
Yeah, over 1,000 yards, but he only had one touchdown. Like Eric, that's why I stopped with the Evan Ingram comparison. Evan Ingram had a phenomenal rookie year. Like I hadn't seen one that good in 20 years. He had 700 yards. Like Pitts did.
Was it really that little?
Yeah, he caught touchdowns, so for a tight end, that's good. Well, then he had to catch the ball entirely. Most rookie tight ends break out their second year. Most have done at least a top 36 season before they break out in their second year. Pitts is well over both of those. Like the only reason he hasn't already happened is because he caught one touchdown. And this is from a guy who really laughed at the value last year. It was really like, Evan Ingram. Like, again, it could miss, but you won't see anyone more likely to do it in their second year or have this much signal they should do it in their second year for another 5 years. So take the shooting star or don't, but it is actually looks like a shooting star. And it could still miss because there's no such thing as no risk. Same with Chase. I think about it similarly, to be honest with you. You make up the decision now, or there'll always be a wait and see tax, and it could miss, but again, you won't see another prospect as likely to be what we think or what Chase is ranked to be again for quite a while. It doesn't happen every rookie season. Right. Same with Waddle. Like Waddle and Fairmouth make an interesting comparison in that way. AJ Brown and OBJ, lots of acronyms today, were once given the kingdom. Yeah, exactly. And they really paid off in their second year. And players have shorter fantasy relevant careers than we like to expect.
Yeah, but you're also
both things are true.
Unfair to people to pick. AJ Brown has always held his value, even though points-wise he hasn't put it up because of injury. And Odell Beckham, again, held his value for a really long time, but things got weird with him, especially with him and the team. So, like,
teams.
And you know the other thing about
Multiple
that?
teams.
Every
Well, by the time he
2014
left the
wide
Giants, he
receiver
was
was
done.
given the Kingdoms. Mike Evans, and I've heard constantly about all his 1,000-yard seasons. It's weird to leave him off the list to go for the guy who recently tanked. Like, Mike Evans could be put on that list, and it doesn't sound like such a walk-away
I mean,
win.
if you want to throw Sammy Watkins, his name out, it'll make me cry, but that's the right answer.
Jarvis
I wanna
Landry had
throw
multiple
Justin
first wide receiver 1 seasons from that. I mean, it was a different kind of year. They do normally pay off if they pay off in the rookie year, or continue to, on average. Like, I'm trying to think of one that really had that amazing breakout their rookie year. Not just good rookie seasons, which put them as more likely, but like finished top 24, top 12, and then failed at wide receiver. Kelvin Benjamin. There you go.
Oh, he did it a couple of years though.
Only top 24 once, I think.
Nothing like his rookie year.
But even then, even I, who hated Kelvin Benjamin's profile because it was a later breakout and I had lots of different issues with it, the reason he seemed to continue to fail was the real life moves. He changed teams, his quarterback switch. There's a lot of context in there, which might have been the reason
he was only
chased
good
Claypool.
because he had
Chase
Cam
Claypool's
Newton,
another one,
who
but also had a
wasn't a
bad
great
profile.
thrower.
There's normally a lot of
I don't know what to
context
do.
around,
Let me
and they
throw
were
within
normally
4
bad
feet
prospects.
of Kelvin Benjamin.
Pitts, Chase, all of these were really good college players. Benjamin, Claypool were borderline okay, and that's why I kind of always default to their college profile if I have further questions about them. It's an interesting area where there's no set rule. That's why I go to you take the shot or you don't, but you don't see many decent shots like that come by. 12-team 1 QB, start 8. On the top QBs, Kyler Murray is the most attainable. Is he worth overpaying for? At a 1 QB, no. Probably not.
Oh, wow. Start 8? Why would you only start 8? Depends what you're overpaying. Like, if we're talking overpaying in a 1 QB and you have to send a first and a second, I mean, I might do that.
That's what I assume. No.
But if you're talking about like paying super flex prices in a 1 QB league, then no.
If I'm going to overpay
Even
for
in start 8.
if I'm going to overpay for a quarterback, though, I'm going to go up and get Allen instead of Murray. I mean, not to be.
If you can get Allen for 2 firsts or Murray for a first and a second, go get Allen for 2 firsts. Like, if you can get the
1 QB questions, just probably not worth it. Worth the effort. Not worth the effort to answer, but worth the effort to trade for. Sorry. For FF's sake, how do you feel about?
Yeah.
We did. Sorry, we got ahead of this one. Sorry, Zach. That team was for the Josh Allen trade I asked earlier. We went over that one, right? Joe, CD is a great example of ignoring points per game. Okay. I have not mentioned CD Lamb's points per game in saying that he's likely to break out last year. Like, I appreciate it, Joe, but I didn't mention it. I don't care about his points per game or season-long points. I care about his overall production and how well he's performed on his overall volume, sure, but it's a career year and average stat. Not points per game. Look at target share. Target share is good too. Look at expected points per game. His target share and expected points per game are good for an average breakout in the third year, or any top 12 breakout. All his stats are either mid or above average for most players that break out in the top 3. I'm not offering an opinion on his overall production. I'm not Zach. I don't know if he's any good. I'm saying he looks exactly like a player that breaks out into the top 12. And because I don't have great player evaluation or eyes, that's how I play. And you don't see a player this likely to break out based on those measurements very often, like hardly ever. Sean, do you ever try to tank in a startup? I got 8.23 first, 5 seconds. My only real players are Lance, which is a good one. Dobbins, a good. Mitchell, good. London, he's meant to be good. Pickens,
this is
good.
This is
Pretty
what
good.
I was saying. This is what I was saying at the beginning of the show, Peter, where I am tempted to do a startup this year to do
It's a
this.
good year to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am
It
doing
is.
that currently in John Bosch's. I'm going to give him credit so I don't have to say I started another league, the Threes League. It's an auction, but there's Devi. It's a 3-copy league. There's a Devi copy, a rookie copy, and then a second-year copy. We start with $2,000. I currently have a little over $1,000, and all I've done is buy 23 picks. I don't have a single player.
First, Russ, I feel you're Ridley Payne one day at a time. Do you think he comes back, by the way? Honestly,
I
just
hope
throwing
so.
that out there.
Like, it's wild to me that the NFL is worried about Ridley playing underdog fantasy.
You know why.
You know why.
Yeah.
How far down in your running back ranks would you no longer pay a 23 first for? Henry, I would do it. Gibson, I would not. It's if I think they finish inside the top 10, really, but we'll just say top 12 because it's an easier category.
Honestly, Henry, I don't. Part of me says I don't think I would. I would find a different way to try and get Henry. ETN, I understand the idea of it because there are people that do think he is that guy. So if you do think he's that guy, then you go do that. But I wouldn't pay a first for any of these.
That's why we said trade for him earlier because we knew we were going to get to a point where we didn't want to, but we get it, and that's when he's interesting in terms of a trade. Sorry, I am trying to speed up. We got 7 minutes left, guys. I know we got questions, but I gotta let people go to bed, so I'm trying to move along. I swear. Brennan, 12-team Dynasty, half-point PPR, Superflex Lance, 23 first and a 23 second. Enough for JT? Ooh. Yes. Yes.
Wait, Superflex. Yes.
Yeah, hopefully we throw out enough names there.
We definitely gave enough names at that point, yeah.
Homies.
Hey.
Thank you, man. Updated thoughts on Deshaun Watson suspension. I haven't changed a bit. Sorry. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the feedback on honest answers. You too, Joe. Is Irv Smith worth a 23? No. Trade him for a 23. Like, I'd start quit with the Irv Smith take.
Smith. I still like him, but I'm not going to put value on him.
Here's the thing. I think Irv Smith gets some kind of like or legacy that he was once considered a good he was never a good prospect to have fantasy relevance.
Yes, he was.
And then he got talked up because of a vacated targets argument. No, he's not. He got talked up because Kyle Rudolph left. I remember JJ Redick talking about it on his podcast. That's why. And I was like, nope. And it's continued to be no since. I don't get it.
The answer is throw your second, go get Robert Tonyan.
There you go. Mayer is going to be really good too next year. Mayer?
That's the tight end I was saying. There's that one guy next year that we hope is going to be pissed.
He's fine. Athletically, he is not what you necessarily look for, but he's fine.
I knew it started with an M. I just couldn't think of the name.
Michael. Like, yeah.
1 QB, no premium.
Oh, I'm definitely not sending a second.
No, especially not for Irv. No.
It's a really low breakout year as well. Like, it doesn't happen often. Juju broke out a rookie year and then failure. Yeah, he did. That's why I'm still in, to be fair.
I am all about making.
I think it was his second year, though, wasn't it? I think it was Juju's. He did pretty well his rookie year, but I think he broke out into the top.
Second year was the year with him and AB going nuts.
So we got two good years, and then
he was pretty good. There was a year he got hurt that he was pretty good too.
He was 20. You mean when he was top 24 overall, despite only playing half the season? Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2020.
Right, and then the year after was when he got hurt with last year.
Yeah.
Claypool greater than Juju. And yeah, I hate this take, but
no.
I get the concerns.
Yes,
week 1.
Watkins, baby.
I mean, book it. 30 points.
Week 2, I'm going to trade for so much Sammy Watkins.
You do care about. I care about points per game in testing if we use certain thresholds to make sure we're weeding out small sample traps. But I don't make a points per game. I literally don't know what CD had in points per game. It's not his points per game that mean that he's likely.
I care about that. That helps my argument.
Yeah, that too.
That's how they work. The film.
Exactly. He cares about points per game when it comes to Claypool versus Ayuk. No, I care about his sophomore score when it comes to Claypool versus Ayuk, and which doesn't use points per game. Again, I feel like you're building someone else's arguments into mine. but like mine's literally.
They just like picking
I
on
don't
you.
know how to deal with it. Do you have any sticky stats for evaluating breakout running backs?
Carries.
Yeah, like a bunch. Essentially, they follow similar wide receiver stats, but interestingly enough, they don't break out after crossing a
this
points per game threshold. Since we're all talking
incoming
about it as often as wide
rookies, or-
receivers.
Sorry,
I think he's talking about general breakouts.
All right, yeah, because I'm just curious if he means like stats that Brees Hall did in college. That means he'll break out as a rookie, or
Ooh,
I mean, Najee's a bad example because he was already like RB4, but like a rookie that played this year that might break out for next year. Like
mostly draft capital is going to be the biggest swing on whether you have early opportunity, and then
because
really
that's
comes down to roster construction.
I don't think you compare anything to what they did in college to what they're going to do in the NFL. You just really care about what the team thinks of him by that draft capital and seeing where they start.
As far as breakouts in the NFL go, they actually follow similar trends. Like 60% instead of 70% who break out into any level actually have a top 36 season before. About 50% have averaged over like points per game threshold, which doesn't matter if you filter out players that didn't play 8 games or more. But mostly, and that's why I continue to rely on it's career year and arc of their career. Like we was talking about with Gibson and Swift, if you've seen them get the role, you kind of expect that's kind of what they do, and that's kind of the volume they overall get. I'm just messing with you, Peter. That's what I'm literally here for. Appreciate it. I've been kind of moody today. No, you're good. Don't apologize to me. I'm the last person in the world anyone has to apologize for. I enjoy being frustrated about fantasy football and fantasy football arguments. It's literally why I'm here. And I will be wrong. Like both my co-hosts think I'm wrong. I'm normally wrong when that happens.
I'm never wrong.
I try to just
I'm a
have
dummy.
a process
I'm always
and stick
wrong.
to it and take my L's and try to adjust the process when I take my L's to try and get better. But I can't
You being all Bayesian and stuff.
say, oh, but
with
not
new
this one,
information.
and because then I'm just pretending I don't do a certain thing. Good night, guys. See you next week. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys rushing that towards the end, by the way. Your questions came thick, fast, and stopped the minute we got close to 11:30, which makes, leaving pretty easy. I really appreciate that because, my co-host might leave at any point. So, Where?
It's over there.
Oh, you're doing that.